Hello everybody, my name's Alan and today I'm going to do my first YouTube video ever in regards to Bible prophecy and events that are taking place. This one in particular being my first one, I've been studying for years, doing research for years, and I've never done a video. I've watched and learned from so many good teachers, pastors, and just a number of teachers from around the world on YouTube. And something struck me in this past week that I did a lot of research and instantly felt that I needed to bring this to light. And the word that kept coming to me as I was praying about it was the word posterity. Posterity, posterity. It just kept coming to me. And you'll see why. What we're going to talk about today is the mark of the beast, the days of Noah, and how it relates. And at the end, like me, I'm sure you're going to be blown away. You're going to see exactly what it is, exactly what the Lord meant when He said, "As the days of Noah." We'll get into that here. I'm not sure if this video is going to be one longer video that I'll piece together, but I'm using a Screen-O-Matic for the first time, and it only gives me 15 minutes, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to piece them together using just YouTube edit, or if I'll do part 1, part 2, part 3. It just depends on how long it goes. But before we get into the days of Noah and the mark of the beast and what it really all involves, I'm going to just touch on this just real briefly, hopefully just 3 or 4 minutes here before we get into it. And that's what a lot of people, and this is what a lot of people have been talking about lately. But of that day and hour, no one knows. This is Matthew 24, verse 36. So, of that day, that day and that hour, no one knows. Now, we know that if God wanted to be more precise, He could have been more precise. He could have given us a lot more detail. But He says of that day and of that hour. Now, those that have been following a lot with what's been going on online for the Revelation 12 sign in the sky, I've heard people that say, other pastors say, oh, these guys are saying, or this person is saying, this is the date, this is the date. Never once has the person who's really discovered this and put this together, and those that follow him, ever said that this was the day and the hour. That's not what he's saying. But we do know that the Lord used it as an idiom. So to just touch on this briefly, I'll deal with it in another video, but He tells us to watch. He tells us we should know the seasons, we should know the times that we're in, and there is a lot to that, like I said, that I'll do in another video. But let me give you an example here. But of that day and hour, no one knows. Now we know that that had to do with the idiom of the wedding feast. Nobody knew the day or the hour. The bridegroom would leave to his father's house, prepare another place. Once he was done, he'd wait for his father's approval, and then bang, they would go back and get her. And so in that case, nobody knew the day or the hour. But also, of the only day, the Feast of Trumpets, that is 2 days. And the reason it's 2 days is because nobody knows which day, see, nobody knows the day, or the hour that they're going to see the crescent of the new moon. So it also relates to the day and the hour. So let's see if there's somewhere else in the Bible where it tells us maybe more detail as to, could God have given us more detail and really not wanted us to know the time, the seasons, the year, those types of things. Well, let's check this out. In Revelation chapter 9, verse 15, you have the angels that were bound in the Euphrates River. And look, in Revelation 9:15, and the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year. So you see, it's very, very descriptive here that they were purposed for this time, this day, this month, this hour. It is extremely, extremely detailed. So compared to the day or the hour. So it makes a lot of sense that if we're watching, we would know the day or the hour. We wouldn't know the day or the hour, but we could know possibly the year, the month, if we're watching? Because here's the other thing. We go to Amos 3:7, and it says, "Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophets." So we know from history that he's going to reveal to his prophets. Let's go back here. Now let's get into this. This will lead us into the days of Noah as well. If you look at Noah, and you see, "But as it were in the days of Noah, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days before the flood, they who weren't paying attention, they were eating, drinking, giving to marriage." Doesn't mean there's not going to be believers in the end. It's just stating they, as in those who aren't paying attention, were given into marriage until the day Noah entered the ark. Noah entered the ark. Well, what did Noah do? He walked with God. He knew God. And when they say walked with God, just like we say, how is your walk with the Lord? How's your walk with God? It doesn't mean he was physically walking with God. It means he was in the Spirit. He was praying. He was talking to God. And so Noah would classify as what? He would be a prophet. And who entered the ark with him? Those who he told and believed him, which were his family. So it's very, very similar that he will tell his prophets. They will know. And you can see how, there's people that are going to know because they're paying attention. And it's being revealed in its time. So I'm going to leave it at that for now because there's a lot more that we can go into there. But this is about the days of Noah in regards to the chip and in the last days. And what has been revealed to me, I heard a little snippet about a week ago and it caught me off guard. And when I heard about it, it was just a brief mention, and I started doing research. And we've heard about a lot of this, the Verichip company, and, a lot has happened with that. And I'm going to put that together for you here. But what I wanted to do here is let's go into the days of Noah. So I'm just going into eSword here, which is a great reference for Hebrew and Greek to get original descriptions, original word meanings. But the reason I want is because, as you saw, I have a lot of screens open at the top, and I'm running out of space to know what I have up there. So if we go into this, and we're here in Genesis 2, and the sons of God. Now, a lot of us know this. A lot of people that are watching, that are paying attention, that are watching these kinds of channels, know about the sons of God came into the daughters of men. They took wives to them, human wives. So what ends up happening here? They create giants. We know the giants were huge, and there's a lot of talk of this cover-up with Smithsonian. We get all of this. But what was the point? What was happening in these days of Noah? Well, there were giants in the earth, so on the earth here, but also after that. So after that, well, we don't see any giants around now, but I will get to that and explain exactly where this all leads. So there were giants in those days and after that. So that's very, very important. But what happened, Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, and the generations of Noah, so his kids, himself, him and his wife, that Noah was a just man and perfect. Perfect doesn't mean that he was a perfect person. There was no perfect man after Adam fell. So what we can see is that he was without spot, without blemish. And what that's saying is because he walked with God. He prayed, and the bigger meaning is without blemish. He was full human. He didn't have any mix of his DNA. And that is the key that we're going to get to, is his mix of DNA. So you can see the Lord saw that the earth was corrupt and filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted. So all flesh, except obviously up here, Noah and his family, because he was still a pure human. He didn't have any mixed blood, any, what we call Nephilim blood in him or his family. They were pure in their bloodline. That's what this is about. So there was no corruption in their flesh, but in everybody else, they were corrupted. And we'll get into this piece over here too, also after that. Because then we say, oh, well, also after that, and then we don't hear anything about, well, we do hear about giants later on. We'll talk about that. But where did they come from? If everybody was wiped out, if the Lord wiped out everybody, it said he was wiping out all flesh from the earth. Well, how did we still have giants in the land after that? And that's what we'll also get into. So let's go over here. We've all, if not all, most of us have heard of this Verichip company. The Verichip company took a lot of flack, I believe because they had the name chip in it, and everybody started freaking out and saying, don't take the chip. Now, I've heard from a lot of, listening to a lot of pastors, and there's one in particular that stands out. I'm not going to mention his name, but a very big pastor, great teacher. He's an older guy now, and he didn't think that the chip, back when he had made this recording, was a big deal. You know, it just contained information. Now, obviously, yes, it's something to pay attention to and be concerned with, but it was just going to contain your information. You know, whether it be your banking or, you know, at that time and even now, it was going to contain maybe your health records and so forth for when you go to the hospital. And, you know, in that sense, if you really looked into it, that wasn't the totality, the total information of the chip that was going to be the key. So I started doing a little bit of digging, or quite a bit of digging, and what I came across, it's your jaw's going to drop. Literally, when I discovered the first one and I shared it with my family, they couldn't believe it. And I've got a 14-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter who I've been sharing over the years different things that I've come to learn and come to know. And I'll tell you, this was oh my goodness. And like I said, I've come to believe that it's a posterity thing. This video is meant to get out to as many people as possible. And I'll talk about doing that later. You're free to share it as often or however you want. And you'll see why as we get going forward, because of what this chip now is. It's no longer the Verichip. They took so much heat for it, and so they changed, and that's what we're going to get into. And when they changed, maybe there was some talk about it, but there really wasn't a whole bunch, and I'll show you that, and I'll show you where it went to. So everybody remembers their logo. There's still people that talk about it now. So let's have a look here. When we look up the Verichip company, we find a company called Digital Angel. I thought that was pretty interesting as well. So this company called Digital Angel were the ones that developed the GPS, RFID, and they owned a minority position. And you can see here 49%. They owned the whole minority position in Verichip. And they diversified. And when they say diversified, that doesn't mean they totally disappeared and left all of it, but it just said that they diversified their stake, and I'll let you know more about that as well. But now let's look. Okay, so let's do some digging here and see what we can find on Digital Angel. Well, if you click on Digital Angel, this is what comes up. Jam Technologies. So it's no longer called Digital Angel, or maybe Digital Angel is the parent, but when you click on digitalangel.com, Jam Technologies comes up. They don't tell you anything. You can't click anywhere. You can't find anything else out about them. So what do? They're a provider of medical device industry, external identification of implanted medical devices. So now this company is involved in some way. We already know because they're connected to the Verichip. So they have the external technologies that can detect the chip in somebody and read whatever their medical information is on there. But they're also the RFID implantable component because, again, they're also part of Verichip, with the formerly named Verichip. So now let's go back and see what happens here. So after Digital Angel diversified, we don't know what, how much, what happened there, but just that they diversified in 2008. After that, Verichip Corporation and Steel Vault Corporate merged into a company called positive ID. You can see why all this happened, why they were pulling away from the Verichip name, because it was so controversial, right? And the controversial Verichip human implant caused a lot of, just caused an uproar. When they changed to positive ID a few years back now, there was a little bit of talk about it, but it just seems to disappeared, and don't really hear too much about it anymore. And like I said, what I'm going to reveal to you guys here today, what this really has come to, and why it is so important now more than ever to absolutely not take the chip. Now, for believers, those in the body of Christ, we're not going to see this. We're not going to see what's going to come from this chip. But this, like I said, is for posterity, and you're allowed to share it and record it and do as much as you want to share what's here, because I believe this is going to be very important for those who are left, to reveal to them why it's important not to take the chip and why the chip condemns you. That's the key. So let's have a look here. We've got one company through Digital Angel that is medical and RFID. Okay, there's your medical records and your tracking. Now let's go into SteelVault. Well, when we go look into SteelVault, let's see here, we find out that SteelVault, here it is, SteelVault Corp, which again, if you click on their website, if you click on this, the website doesn't exist anymore. But in this case, it's more understandable because the company is no longer, it's merged. So let's see who SteelVault was. We don't get a whole bunch, but we get some, and it's the important stuff. SteelVault is IFTH Acquisition Corp. DBA is doing business as SteelVault. So what was SteelVault's big deal? Why would they be involved in merging with the Verichip? Well, here we go. Premier leader in security products and services, including credit monitoring, credit reports, and other identity theft protection services. So the acquisition company acquired National Credit Report. So what do we have here? We have now all of your private banking information. Your credit report, anything relating to your credit is now in there. Here we've got now you cannot buy and sell. The other one has, we know what's wrong with you, we know what your medical history is and anything concerning you and what's in your DNA, and we know where to find you or how to find you. So if we go in and we click on this company here, and we try to say, okay, SteelVault, like I said, you're not going to find anything on them. But if we go to, let's see if we can find IFTH Acquisition Corp, and we do a little digging here, and we come up, oh, just like the others, they've all disappeared. So there's nothing there. So what do we, let's see, was this the next one? This is a little bit later. So we come across and we realize that that company is no longer there either. So we do a little bit more digging. We see, who else is connected with positive ID. And as this video continues, it's going to get more and more and more interesting. Some of this is starting to become new to many of you, I'm sure, some of this information, but it's going to continue and it's going to get crazier. So after a little bit more research, we see again in 2009. So a lot of this was around 08, 09 that started happening. And all of these chip, their ticker number, their trading symbol for Verichip, for SteelVault, for Digital Angel, they're no longer. You can't find them. They're not publicly traded anymore. Again, it could still have to do with the fact that it's now all come under the new name. So after doing a little bit more digging, we find out this company here, Verichip, also went into a deal with Receptors LLC. Right off the bat, Receptors, dealing with the Verichip, it starts to make you go, So a lot of it seems really good. You can read through this. And I don't know that I'll leave links, but I mean, you could always copy. You can see what's up here in the link up here. So looking into this more, you find out that they created a product They say it's for, if there's pandemics or like here, bioterrorism, any bio threats, and they created this platform for being able to detect it. And people coming in that may have it in their bodies, like whether it be in their bloodline, because remember this in their bloodstream. Sorry. So you got to remember all of this is going back to the blood. So we can see here the product is currently in the marketplace. So the products that are currently in the marketplace, they're expensive. They take too much time. And this company here, these companies, so say the companies, that's through Positive ID with this company, Receptors, and Verichip, all these companies combined. That's what they mean by the companies here. Products are expected to produce a result within 20 minutes. And you'll find out what this all is and how it ties in with the chip again. So let's go down here, and we could see the chairman of Verichip at the time, before the name was changed. As we continue to build our partnership with Receptors, which started with the development of a glucose sensing RFID implantable microchip, which we now know they've moved well past. We're moving beyond patient identification to sensors that can be detected and identify illnesses and viruses such as influenza. Well, that's pretty crazy. Now they're telling you within the bloodstream that these receptors that this company, the Receptors company, has developed can now detect illnesses. And we got to remember, this is back in 2009 they had this ability. So what you're about to see is going to get even more detailed when it comes to blood and DNA. And you can see him down here, the partnership. Let's start from the beginning. Last week, Verichip announced it has expanded its existing development partnership with Receptors beyond the glucose RFID implantable microchip. Here we go. Other biological and environmental applications. And they have a patent for it. So this is their technology now. So other biological and environmental applications. All right, that's starting to get a little bit more interesting here. So who are these guys? We do some digging. We can find a little bit of information here. Well, now let's click on their website. Oh, what do you know? Once again, there's nothing. So did these guys merge with them? That I don't know for sure. So now let's go back to here. We've identified Digital Angel. We've identified, of course, Verichip, that everybody had already, or most people had known about. We've identified Stillcorp. We've identified another partnership with Verichip through Receptor. And what did they all do? Again, RFID and medical through Digital Angel. The chip itself, which is more or less the RFID part of it. And now they've also merged with Stillcorp, which is all your credit information. And they've done some sort of partnership with Receptor, and Receptor has the ability now to detect people that have different illnesses in them, and can, it all seems really good that they're going to be doing things that are going to help people. But as they've continued to develop this, we come to find the truth, whether they even know about it or not. Somebody somewhere up there absolutely knows what's going to be going on with this, and I'm going to expose it here today. So now let's go a little bit further. Okay, we've done that. We can get rid of that window now. Now let's find out Positive ID, the main name in the whole thing. Now, when we say Positive ID, and when I'm talking about Positive ID, you have to remember, whoever's listening to this in the future, it may be a different name. It can come in ABC protection. It makes no difference what the name's going to be. It's understanding that what you're about to put in you is going to change who you are, and you'll see this. Or yeah, I won't get it. I'll let the build up keep going here. So we look up positive ID, and we can see formerly Verichip. You can tell there's the main piece of the Verichip logo. And let's look over here. Digital Angel is the parent company. Well, how about that? Can't find anything on Digital Angel except what we've already looked at, and a website that goes nowhere and just gives us a little bit more information. So now, Verichip really here, it's talking about how it's been approved. I mean, we know that's been approved for a long time, and that it's really, more RFID and tracking technology and so forth. Here, their merger with Steel Vault and so forth. And we can go down and find out some more information. Again, a lot of people knew of this change. A lot of us have heard and maybe watched some videos and maybe even read some books of Mark Dice regarding the mark of the beast. And there were a lot of pastors, a lot of different ministers and ministries that said, this is wrong, and based biblically, that's very accurate. And the point of this video isn't so much to enlighten anybody in the fact of not taking the chip. Every Bible-believing Christian knows you just don't take that chip. This is going to be for people who don't know, for one, and for two, to reveal to everybody what it means when it comes to the days of Noah. And how does this chip, regardless of the name, even though it's now under positive ID, what it means in the days of Noah. It's going to get wild after this. So here, let's go now to positive ID. We can just click on the website. And, oh, sorry, this one wasn't the website. This was a link to more information. This was a paper from the positive ID website talking about their RFID chip and their acquisitions, and health ID, security ID, working with receptors. This is how I came across receptors. So all relating to making this chip more complete, if you will. You can find all of them: Verichip, Steel Vault, cleared for FDA, for implantable, for health, for security, for dealing with receptors and what they did, and their patent and their information is very, very important for glucose, the technology that they have with glucose in regards to how it's received within the body. And of course, there you go, national credit. And now it gets into greater detail. Now we're going to go into Positive ID's website, and let's go right here. Let's go to their homepage. When we go to their homepage, you'll see one of the keys that pops up right here. Look at that. Oh, a DNA strand. Well, how about that? That's nice, isn't it? Because we know where we're heading here. Well, let's see the friendly people that these guys partner with. Who do these guys work with? Let's have a look here. Oh, they work with the Department of Defense, Homeland Security, NASA, and Special Operations Command. Oh, all of the friendlies, wouldn't you say? So the next step here I'm going to put into a second video is what this chip is all about, and it's going to be the final chapter. Thanks a lot.